Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. I love people are chatting and streaming in. Good morning and welcome to West Hills Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, affectionately known as WOOF. I'm Ashley Ulmer. I'm your lay leader today. And so glad to see you all here. You're welcome if you're here in the sanctuary, if you're joining us in the coffee room, streaming downstairs, or if you're on Zoom, welcome. It's great to see all of the familiar faces, and the newcomers are especially welcome, reminding you that our administrative team, Jen and Sierra, are very easily accessible through the website to ask to put your name on the email list, the bulletin board, to stay in touch with weekly activities and communications. We find ourselves deep in this season when our dedicated minister, Tracy Springberry, is away for the summer, and we welcome and receive the gifts of guest clergy and speakers. And so today, we are so grateful to have our very own Reverend Leslie Becknell-Marx, a Unitarian Universalist minister, facilitator, and experiential educator who is passionate about helping people build communities rooted in compassion, collaboration, and belonging. She currently serves as the quarter-time minister of Y East, Unitarian Universalist congregation in Portland, Oregon, and also designs and leads workshops on leadership, communication, and conflict transformation. Leslie brings warmth, curiosity, and a playful spirit to her ministry, inviting people to explore spiritual growth while putting love into action. She and her family are members here at WOOF, thankfully. We want to welcome Leslie. And I also have an announcement from the Capital Campaign Committee. A reminder that WOOF is working towards a capital campaign to increase our capacity in our buildings. Don't get scared. The theme and vision we have set our sights on is growing our forest home. WOOF's priorities, based on your input provided, are to increase accessibility, provide more space in the sanctuary, the coffee room, and in the lobby to improve our AV system and our technology capacities. After the service today, there will be the Capital Campaign table in the coffee room. We ask you to please come visit, where you can learn what's happening behind the scenes to match those congregational priorities with possible building plans. You can see the timeline for the next 8 to 9 months. Folks from the Capital Campaign and the Design Build team will be there to answer your questions. So much exciting information is there. All of us are needed to support this campaign, so please join us in growing our forest home. Now let's stand to greet each other with no further ado. And what? I do. Are you ready for it? Where do you particularly enjoy gathering or being inspired here on the campus? Where's your favorite little spot to be? And our song leader, Nate Rochester, here to guide us in our first hymn.
Please
Thank you
stand
so much.
or rise or remain standing as you're willing and able for Gather the Spirit, hymn 347. We're doing this a little faster than usual. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in awe, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
And now we'll light our chalice. We do not have a particular lighter today, so let us share our opening affirmation. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful and what is wondrous. Let us open our minds to learn what is true and what is mysterious. Let us open our hearts to love ourselves and our neighbors. Without further ado, Reverend Leslie Becknell-Marx will lead us in our call to worship.
All right. This feels like it's totally in response to let us open our minds to learn what is true and what is mysterious. In the spirit of today's theme of curiosity, this is called The Mysterious Pull of the Unanswerable by Bran Lennox. We have chosen to bring ourselves here to this sanctuary to gather as a community of faith. We join together in solidarity as a covenanted people who are drawn together by the promise of connection and the mysterious pull of the unanswerable. We draw on experiences of love and wonder to lift our hearts and move us beyond the mundane. As seekers, wanderers, appreciators of nature, connoisseurs of curiosity, and creators of connection, our paths have converged today so that we might become present to the spirit that is worship. And so let us worship together. It is good to be here with you all.
Thank you, Leslie. As we prepare to receive through gratitude and giving, I want to first start out. I know, Joyce, you're not prepared for me to say anything, but I was told that you signed the book and we have a new member today, beloved member. Didn't want you to wait till November just for your applause. So as we prepare to receive today, I want us to reflect on simply the connections that we make and how we make them. I'm going to ask you for a show of hands. If you love chit-chatting and meeting new people at coffee hour. If you don't really love chit-chatting and meeting people, but you know that there's some really cool people around here that you'd like to know more. You're task-oriented and you do a week's worth of business at coffee hour. If you're okay when somebody you don't know too well asks you a silly icebreaker question in coffee hour. Or if you are brave and willing to turn curiosities into connections and conversations. If you're eager to find out what groups or volunteer opportunities might lead you to find your special group of people and interests here. And look around. Look around at all the hands. Raise your hand if you're approachable. May it be so. Ushers, please come and receive the offering today. Are our ushers available now? Thank you, Betsy. Let us affirm together. Let us be grateful. And we are so thankful today to have our special music collective and an original song by Leanne Leonard. See Me is the name of this piece. Thank you.
My skin is darker than yours. I sit in a wheelchair, I live on the street. I lost my arm in the war. I want to see in your eyes that you see me. Want to hear my name called like a song. I want to be chosen to be with. I want to know that I belong. My words are slow and confusing. I to see in your eyes that you see me. Want to hear my name called like a song. I want to be chosen to be with. I want to know that I belong. Want to see in your eyes that you see me. Want to hear my name called like a song. I want to be chosen to be with. I want to know that I belong.
All right, I am going to do the story for all ages today. So I invite young people, the young at heart, anyone who wants to be up close to please come. And I'm just going to skip the sermon and we're just going to go with that song as all that we need to know. And I've still got the tears flowing. So, oh my gosh, Leanne, that was amazing. Thank you for coming up. Was anyone else going to come up? What do you think? Yes, 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 yes. All right, so I do things a little differently, and I'm not going to read you a book. I'm going to tell you a story. You know who wrote it? Me. All right, this is a story, and it happened on a day when somebody new was moving in to a neighborhood. And in this neighborhood, there were two small houses right next to each other, and one was yellow and one was blue, and Yolanda lived in the yellow house, which was very bright and cheery, and the blue house had been empty for a long time and was starting to look kind of run down, like it needed some paint, it needed some tender, loving care, it needed a capital campaign. But one day, a moving van pulled up to the blue house. Bob was moving in. And Bob, yes, in the blue house. Yolanda is in the yellow house. Bob started unpacking his stuff from the moving van, and do you know what happened? Like, what's one of the worst things that could happen when you're moving into a place? Rain, exactly, rain. So it starts to pour rain. Ugh, no fun to move in the rain. And Bob had a cold. So he was already cranky and tired, and he used up 4 handkerchiefs and 5 towels that day. Yolanda was excited to have a new neighbor, and as soon as she saw the moving van, she got busy baking cookies, her specialty peanut butter chocolate delights. She put them in a basket with a pretty cloth and took them over to the blue house. And when Bob opened the door, she put the basket directly in his hands and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood. These are my specialty peanut butter chocolate delights." And Bob said, "Oh, I'm allergic to peanuts. Please take them away or I'll swell up like a balloon." And then he sneezed all over the basket. Oh. He was so embarrassed and so tired that he just shut the door and went to lie down. Yolanda was shocked. No one had ever said no to her peanut butter delights. And now even she couldn't eat them because they had sneezy snot all over them. She decided her new neighbor was a grumpy, rude grouch. She was very clear on this. And so the next morning, Yolanda noticed that during that big storm, some water had flowed between the two houses and started kind of a small ditch. And she decided to get her shovel and make that ditch deeper and wider to protect herself from the grumpy grouch who had just moved in next to her cheerful yellow house in his drab blue house. She dug all day. She was deep in the ditch and didn't notice Bob was painting his house a vibrant, new, brighter blue. When she climbed out of the ditch, it was too dark to notice the new paint, but she could see all the mess from the painting project. Ugh. Then at night, you know how you can see into windows when the lights are on? she saw him with his mouth wide open, looking like he was yelling. And she's like, "Oh, he's such a grouch. He's probably yelling at someone over Zoom." But she couldn't hear the music and know that he was singing along to Zippity Doo Dah. The next day, she climbed back in her ditch to dig it deeper and wider to still protect herself from this grouch. And she heard loud, obnoxious noises coming from the blue house. And she's like, "Oh, what is that neighbor doing to annoy me now?" She didn't know it was the power tools Bob was using to build something. She climbed out of the ditch that evening, satisfied that it was deep enough and wide enough to protect her from this new grump in the neighborhood. She was so tired from all the digging, she just took a shower and plopped in her lazy boy chair. And then she heard some happy whistling. She looked out her window and saw Bob walking over the bridge he had built over her ditch. He was carrying a vase of flowers and a steaming hot casserole that, as it got closer, smelled delicious. She saw him smiling and thought, "Well, he doesn't look like a grump after all." The end. All right. Now we're going to sing the kids off to their classes. Thank you all for coming up.
As we embrace our tradition of sharing joys and sorrows this morning, we share an awareness that life is so hard for so many. There's so much difficulty. Yet people continue miraculously to put one foot in front of the other, guided by light that shines through the shadows. Together here we hold each other, whether in joy or sorrow, like the water envelops the stone and lightens the weight of its fall. We will now share a moment of silent reflection, thinking about these joys and sorrows. And then, if you're inclined, you're welcome to approach this way and return to your seat this way, speaking a word, if you'd like, into the microphone to share that with all of us, and to drop a stone.
I would be remiss if I didn't drop a stone for Peter and Mary Hipokowski. Mary fell and broke a leg, hip, something, femur, in Canada, and had surgery in Canada, and they're kind of stuck there right now. So wishing them all the best. Maybe two stones.
One for each.
Some of you may have heard my tumultuous forced house sale situation. I'm really happy to report that we got the keys to our new house yesterday after 2 months of chaos. So.
For my friend who had part of her leg amputated on the 3rd, please send your healing and positive energy.
Want to put down a nice heavy stone in solidarity with all the people fighting data centers.
I'd just like to say a word about my friend Annie Vigileos. She's had a year, open heart surgery. She got through that. She had cataract surgery, ended up falling, and she broke her shoulder. So she's 6 weeks out from that. Can't drive yet, but she's feeling much, much better.
Just grateful to be here. I'm having a reunion with my sisters. This is one of them. I have another one. And so we haven't been here in over 10 years. I usually would see her on the East Coast. So thank you. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for being here.
I'm very grateful that I'm here today with my 2 sisters, and I'm very happy to be here with all of you. Thank you.
And one more joy to be here after 50 years. I went to Sunday school here 50 years ago with my parents.
Welcome.
My great joy is that as of this coming Tuesday, I will have survived and thrived for 87 years.
Well, not to lower the level too much, but my stone is for the sorrow and empathy for the folks in France and Spain and other places who are suffering from horrendous, horrendous wildfires. And just can imagine what we might be in store for at some point, and try to remind us to be careful.
And finally, a stone for all things that we're celebrating today, and one for all of those sorrows that left unsaid. And now we'll just take a moment to marinate on that and quiet reflection.
Please rise as you're willing and able for hymn 1023, Building Bridges. We're going to do this in 4 rounds. We'll sing it through once all together, and then round 1, round 2, that half, round 3, that half, round 4 over there, and we have a couple other leaders helping out.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you as you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony, building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony, building bridges between our divisions. We reach out to you as you reach out to me. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Thank you all. The congregation I serve is much smaller, and we don't have quite the singing oomph that you all do. So it is sweet to be here and see a 4-part round work. I can't really make a 2-part round work. All right, I am going to do our reading today and then go straight into the sermon. Yes? All right. The reading is from a poet I love, James Cruz, who is a poet in and of himself and puts together beautiful collections of poetry. This is one of his. The trick is to keep reaching for the light you will never touch, and to be nourished by the stretch toward impossible things. The trick is to bloom where you are, not calling it a failure because you wanted a different outcome. Live each day devoted to awe, so that when a monarch lands on the tip of a coneflower, seeming to swell with that sudden infusion of sweetness, you don't miss it. So that while you watch a pair of hard-won wings seem to open and close and open again in you. So for me, that poem is about staying open and awake and curious, which is the theme today. And curious and curiosity is a word that I don't think is typically thought of as spiritual. And yet, I realize it's a core part of my spiritual practice, which I might say a spiritual practice is what I do to try to become the person I want to be and feel I could be. And so, more often we talk about compassion and justice and love. And, curiosity could sound like a word that you would hear in a preschool classroom or, maybe in a science lab. But, in church. So I'm just wondering if anyone here has an experience of being curious in a religious context and having it not welcomed very much. Yes, right. I see some very tall hands. Right. You may have asked a difficult question in Sunday school or confirmation class, or wondered, did that story in the Bible really happen? Maybe ask, how could a loving God allow suffering? And instead of hearing, yes, what a wonderful question, thank you, what might you have heard? Say it again. Shut up. Ooh, shut up. Wow. So spiritual and welcoming. Or you might have heard, just have faith. Or you got the look, right? that just shut you down. Or you might have even gotten a serious talking to, maybe multiple serious talking tos, right? So you learned that some questions weren't welcome, doors were not meant to be open, curiosity was dangerous. Sometimes we talk about that Unitarian Universalism is the church where you can, you don't have to check your brain at the door, which is a little elitist, but it does get a chuckle, and we can appreciate it. So we don't believe that faith is the opposite of questioning. There's even a song, "We Laugh, We Cry." Do y'all know that one by Shelley Denham? So she ends each verse with like what we find as an answer. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. With the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see even to question truly is an answer. And I remember when I first started going to Unitarian Universalist services in my, I don't even know now, my late 20s, I think, like that song and that final line was just like, boom, like this is a different place. So we don't ask people to check their curiosity at the door. We want you to bring it with you. And one of our shared values is pluralism, which also does not sound like a very religious or particularly inspiring word, but it is beautiful when you read the details. And the details of our values can be kind of long and wordy. And I recently saw a summary of them. And the way that they summarized this was, be curious. We promise to learn from one another and embrace our differences. So I thought that was a sweet, simple way to talk about pluralism as that value. And so often in these contexts, we hear words like tolerance. But no, we don't want to just tolerate differences, put up with them. We want to welcome them, embrace them, learn from them. This is a profoundly different way of being in the world. I mean, it assumes nobody knows everything, right? I don't know everything. Just by definition, everyone else knows things that I don't. And can I be curious about that? Because that is not the spirit of the world these days, is it? I think that we are, actively being pushed into polarization by political forces, by social media algorithms, all kinds of things. So, curiosity. Let me ask you all, what do you think is the opposite of curiosity? Certainty. Judgment. Rigidity. Fear. Self-absorption. Oh. Mm-hmm. Omniscience. Omniscience. Yeah. Well, because then you wouldn't need to be curious, because it would omniscience. You would already know everything. Yeah. Opinionated. Mm-hmm. Belief. And these aren't bad words necessarily, but they can be limiting. And thinking that we already know is how it disappears this desire for curiosity and wanting to learn. And how we have been rewarded so often for having the right answer and for having it quickly, right? And if we want to get attention, it's like generally we're not going to say like, well, that's a really interesting point and I want to think about it. That's not going to get you clicks, right? So certainty, outrage, confidence, that's going to be rewarded. And we've kind of been taught like you got to say something kind of hot and get some heat to actually get any attention. So, I don't know. Like that feels like almost a dangerous thing to say in a lot of contexts, right? I remember a time when I was interviewing a client and they were talking about strategy, and my partner in the project said, "What do you mean by strategy?" And I was like, "You can't say that. We have to know what strategy is. We're the consultants." And it was such a good question. And then we got this really helpful information from the client about what they meant when they said strategy. And I was like, oh. So I've since learned that word strategy can mean so many different things. But I was horrified at that revelation of our ignorance and didn't see it as what it really was, which was curiosity to actually understand what they meant by this. And I had a leadership teacher who once suggested that we are addicted in our culture to being right. And she made this even more dramatic by miming a needle in her arm, like the being right needle, and we had to like pull it out. And I was kind of like, whoa, that's dramatic. But then I had to like acknowledge, well, yeah, can you relate to that feeling that's just so yummy when someone says, oh, you're right? You're like, yeah, I'm right. Why does that feel so good? And how we can double down on something that we believe to be true that can be like completely meaningless. Like, what day last week did this thing happen? It was Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday. It was Tuesday. Like, who cares? But, suddenly, like, whether I'm getting along with the person I'm talking to about the fun thing we did last week becomes more important than whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday. Am I right or are you right? So this makes it difficult to be curious, right? I mean, I can even feel like a little bit of that right juice in my veins right now. So taking a deep breath is helpful for that. The Tao Te Ching talks about so many things in its rather roundabout way. So that's from the tradition of the Taoism and the idea of the way and the balance with the yin-yang symbol. And so one of the verses, this is from a translation by Stephen Mitchell, is not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. Like, a disease? Like, that kind of stops me in my tracks. And I think it's a disease that, runs rampant and is very infectious. Like, presuming to know. Because, we like to know. We like to feel that sense of certainty. It kind of makes us feel grounded. And so, we don't need a lot of information to know. Like just a headline, even just some sort of key word lets us know who are the good people and who are the bad people. Okay, who's smart? Who's dangerous? Who's beyond hope? Like the algorithms are, are using these particular words to get us. But there's always more to the story, and if we can remain open and curious, we could discover what it is, because every person is more complicated than our first impression. So I'm guessing many of you have people who your first impression was just right. You're like, oh, this person's my kind of person. And it turns out, yes, they become a really dear friend. But I'm guessing you also have people where you were like, I don't think so. I'm going to stay away from that one. And then for whatever reason, you end up through circumstances getting to know them and suddenly realizing, oh my gosh, they're fascinating. They're not standoffish. They're Asian in a sea of white people. I'm thinking of a particular friend of mine. And I just didn't understand until I really got to know them that, for them, like standoffish was a protective thing. And I'm like, oh, they are so way too cool for me. Oh my gosh, they are the total opposite of cool. We like laugh in the silliest and goofiest ways now. But if I hadn't remained curious and been in a group where we saw each other repeatedly, how would I have ever come to know that? So really maintaining that curiosity can bring such gifts to our life. And it does mean letting go of that comfort, of that kind of, I'm solid in my stand and my knowledge and my certainty. And we have to let go of that little zing that we get from being right. And often when these moments where it's hard to reach curiosity, I somehow feel, threatened. So somebody says something that feels hurtful or offensive, and you can just feel it in your body, right? Like everything tightens up in a protective way. Your mind goes into high gear to figure out what am I going to say next. So we can pay attention to that. Like our bodies sometimes know when we've lost our curiosity before our mind does, before our commitment to curiosity and care. So can we just kind of take that breath and slow down, and instead of saying, how am I going to prove my point? And maybe we don't say this sentence, how can I protect myself? But that's really what's happening, is kind of like I'm bracing for something. And so this is why we have to kind of get curious. Before we can really get curious about another person, we have to find that curiosity for ourselves. What's going on in me? And so you can notice that tension and then be like, oh, okay, what just happened? What did I just hear or see? Why did those words hit me so hard? What am I afraid of? What feels threatened right now? And it's probably some kind of sense of my identity, some really important value of mine, or just something that I feel so important that I need in that moment. And so underneath this protection and this rigidity and certainty is often something really soft and tender. So it might be grief, it might be disappointment that, I can't believe they just said that, which is a different place than, I can't believe they just said that. Sometimes it's like the longing to be understood, like the song, just like I long to be seen, and whatever just happened had me feel like there's no chance of me really ever being seen and accepted. So underneath that anger and that certainty is something more tender. So if I keep reading that verse from the Tao Te Ching, not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First, you realize you are sick. Then you can move toward health. The master is her own physician. She has healed herself of all knowing. Then she is truly whole. This is very much like the Tao Te Ching, to have you kind of go, wait, what? But I love this. It's like first you have to realize you're sick, which no one in our culture is going to tell us we're sick when we're in our certainty and our knowing. So we have to realize, oh, okay, there's some kind of disease here. Now I can move toward health, and I can heal myself of all knowing. What? Heal myself of all knowing? Because remember, presuming to know is the disease. And then you can be really whole. So can we remain in that open, teachable space? Can we recognize there's always another story? It doesn't mean that we're going to abandon our values and our story. It's not like, well, yes, everything is equally true, or nothing really matters. Like, I'll just tell you that UU ministers really hate it when people say, oh, as a Unitarian Universalist, you can believe anything you want to believe. It's like, you can't really believe in, white supremacy, or like there's things like that is not true. And we still want to be open and curious about, wow, how did you come to that conclusion? What was happening? Because we want to, when we bring this sense of curiosity to others, part of the gift that we bring is, here's who I am and what I believe and why I believe it. And then we can connect with them to see what's true for them. So after we've gotten curious about ourselves and maybe found that more tender spot inside us, we can kind of bring that tenderness and curiosity to another. And so this is, of course, most challenging when someone has said something that actually feels, frightening to us, or morally wrong, or dangerous. And so, how do we stay out of that tendency just to be like, oh, bad. I have immediately put them in the bad category. And so now I don't really have to think about that anymore. They're safe in the bad category. And part of what I'm doing is keeping myself in the good category, right? By being so committed to this thing that I know is so important. And so many teachers come from the civil rights movement. And Ruby Sales is a civil rights activist who's still alive today. And she tells the story of how her activism really changed when she stopped thinking about, how do I defeat this person? And started asking a question that is going to, I think, surprise you. Where does it hurt? So it doesn't excuse whatever harm might be happening, right? It's not like whatever you're doing is okay and I'm going to let it happen. But it asks us to get curious about what is hurting in this person that has them choosing to do what they're doing. It asks us to remember that people don't emerge fully formed, right? What was the line in the song, Leanne? Like, about how we were raised? Do you remember?
My parents were cruel and I'm angry.
My parents were cruel and I'm angry. So it's like you could probably just, have that as a default, because everyone's parents were cruel in their worst moments, right? And some people's parents were cruel in most moments. And oh my gosh, that they even survived to be here standing in front of you is amazing. So, we've all been shaped by the love that we've received and the fear that we've experienced, by the moments when we felt belonging and the moments when we felt rejection. So, when I encounter someone who I don't agree with, especially someone who says something that really doesn't make sense to me, I'm often like, oh my God, what are they thinking? Or, oh my, what is wrong with you? So one of the tricks I like to use is that question is already in my brain, right? Can I use that question? Can I transform it into something that's actually curious? Like, what are they thinking? Like, really, what are they thinking? Well, somehow their mind has gotten to the place that this makes sense. Can I get a little bit curious about what that could possibly be? Or if it's like the what is wrong with them, can I shift that to, what's wrong? What was wrong in what happened to you in your life? Where does it hurt? And so, somehow they learned to survive. Somehow they learned to tell a story of the world where this makes sense of them. Somehow they decided this is the safest way to live. So if I think about people's stances on immigration, which make no sense to me, it's like, okay, somehow they learned, they were taught that, people who are different are dangerous, or they learned that for me to feel safe, I have to protect me and mine, or, I can just get curious about it. I don't have to agree with it. And then sometimes it can just open me up a little bit. Instead of that, like, I can just kind of be like, oh, what happened? How does this make sense to you? And when you're a minister, one of the privileges of the job is that people come and tell you their story. And you start to learn that everybody is so complex and has such a story. So, the person who might seem so controlling, carries responsibility that nobody else knows about maybe in their life. Or, someone who reacts really strongly to a certain issue. Like, we don't know what wound it is that they're carrying, but I can tell you there is a wound there. And so we can connect to anyone and everyone on this fundamental level of our core values and basic needs. And this is the wisdom of nonviolent communication and so much of Buddhism. Tara Brach is a teacher that I really admire, that we all want to be safe. We all want to matter. We all want to love and be loved. We all want to belong. The song made it so beautifully clear. And if we can remember that underneath, then we don't have to throw that label on people. Oh, you're the liberal and you're the conservative. Oh, you're an immigrant. You're, an illegal immigrant. Or you're a person here without documents. The names, the labels that we use change how we feel. You're the billionaire. You're the MAGA voter. The labels do not help us, because every human being is complicated, beautiful, frightened, wounded, who didn't choose the life that they lived and all the experiences that happened to them. Now, curiosity and wondering about that doesn't excuse or make okay behaviors that are causing harm. So I don't want you to be naive. I want you to still be able to take action that requires courage. So you might tell someone no, or you might remove someone from a congregation, which is a big deal and is really hard to do and sometimes needs to be done. But it's different. It takes more courage to do that well, you're not demonizing the other person. It actually becomes a little bit easy to do it if you demonize them. It becomes harder, and therefore takes more courage, if you're doing it while seeing their humanity and continuing to care for them. So this is how I think curiosity changes us, changes our connections, and can change communities, right? Because we can see that relationships evolve, that no one is their worst day, their worst behavior. We are so much more than that. And Martin Luther King talks about soul force. And again, another person who taught us it's not about defeating someone, it's about reconciling, transforming relationships. And so, I want to really avoid thinking that somehow my group is more human than another group, right? No, that is not possible. Inherent worthiness and dignity is what we believe. So how do we open that window when the air gets stale and you're just like, I can't even breathe because I'm so caught up in what's right? We can open the windows with curiosity. And so I just want to invite you to a quick practice. Can you just think of someone who you have a hard time with? Let's not pick a really big hard time, but a small hard time. And just think of that thing they do, that thing that they've said, and then just ask one of those questions. Like, what are they thinking? What hurts? What was hard? And notice what happens in your body if things loosen or open. As we talk about love at the center. And I think curiosity is one of the names of love. Because love wonders and listens and asks questions and always believes there is more to discover. And so may we each trust that every act of genuine curiosity widens that circle of love. And may we do that every day. Do we sing now? We're going to sing We Have Enough Now.
Please rise as you're willing and able. We Have Enough, our closing hymn.
In those long nights when we can't sleep and our worries whisper in our ear, we need a voice that will remind us that we are always greater than our fear. We have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love, we have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love. For days when the light dims and it seems like all we do will fail, we need a sign that can sustain us and help us see that hope is never frail. We have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love, we have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love. In our torn lives, there are moments when we feel uncertainty within, then we must sing to tell each other we're not alone, nor have we ever been. We have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love, we have enough time, we have enough courage, we have enough wisdom, we have enough love.
May we have the courage to stay curious. May we have the humility to keep learning. May we have the compassion to keep seeing one another, and the curiosity to widen our hearts. Will you extinguish the flame? We extinguish this flame, but not the vision and compassion of our faith. May they stay with us until we meet again. Go in peace. Oh, yes, now we're going to, I forgot. I love this part. If you're near the front, you're doing it. And if you feel comfortable holding hands, please do. And if you need to see the words,